My name is Jessica Losego, and I'm a meteorologist at the UNC Institute for the Environment. Well, my main focus is on a project we have called Weather for Emergency Management Decision Support, and I work as the project manager as well as an investigator on that project. And what we're doing is we're working with our collaborators at East Carolina University, who are our social science collaborators on this project. And what we're trying to do is really help the National Weather Service improve their decision support that they're providing for emergency management. And so our project is funded by the National Weather Service, and it's very interesting because we get to learn all about the Weather Service as well as what folks are doing in emergency management. So this means that on a typical day, probably talking to emergency managers either through phone interviews or through in-person interviews at a conference or maybe at a visit to one of their offices, where we're trying to really figure out what their decisions are, responsibilities, timelines, concerns, who they're working with, things like that. So we're really trying to understand the emergency management community, and then on the other hand also trying to understand what the Weather Service is thinking, what they're doing, and trying to really understand the operations behind a National Weather Service office, and then kind of bring together what we know about the Weather Service as well as emergency management, and work towards helping the Weather Service improve decision support during severe weather events to emergency management. So we've done two different use cases on tropical and winter use cases here in North Carolina, and so this means that through the interviews and surveys and everything we do with emergency management, I spend a lot of time analyzing the information we get, working with our partners at East Carolina to come up with some ideas to provide back to the Weather Service in terms of what we could do to really help with decision support. So that's my main focus really, and we're working with emergency managers not only in North Carolina, but also currently on our project in Missouri and Kansas on a new project that they have going on out there at their Weather Service offices. So really it's interesting because you get to go and talk to emergency managers in multiple states. And in addition to that project, I also work on a project called NC First, which is a weather portal that we developed for emergency managers about 5 years ago now, specifically for emergency managers in North Carolina. And so that page brings together Weather Service data all into one easy-to-use site, and we also train the emergency managers in how to understand different products on that website. For example, how to understand radar or the forecast, warnings and watches, things like that. And so with that page, that keeps us pretty busy. We have over 900 users on that page now. And so it's a standard tool across North Carolina. And so we work on continuing to maintain that, keep our training up, and that also gets us pretty engaged within the emergency management community. Well, the training actually varies. We have many different versions of it because we started off doing in-person trainings where we would go to maybe a classroom and train anywhere from 15 to 25 emergency managers at a time. But then the request for training got to be so great that we actually had to create an online training that we've had now for probably 3.5 years. We've had a lot of folks take our online training, so it's basically a 1-hour online training. Right now it's on tropical weather, so people can get a good feel as to what's on the page and how they can use it, and so really apply it to their jobs. And we also have, we've done 1 year of training with state emergency management that they provided the course for us in advertising, where we did actually a 3-day course on NC First with a lot of weather background and trying to apply it to emergency management decisions. And so so that course is much more in-depth, of course, than our 1-hour online training, but we do have a range of trainings that people can request, and everybody that uses a page has to go through a training, so they have to learn something about it. I think so, because the way we have the page laid out is we have the most important things that emergency managers say that they use right on the front page, very graphical, very easy to find format, and then detailed parts of weather information we kind of listed on the left side with some links. And so after they understand the basic layout of the page, I think it's pretty easy for them to use. Some of the products we're still working on figuring out how to best train emergency managers, because they're not all designed for emergency managers. They may be designed for one meteorologist talking to another meteorologist, but that might be the only product that's available for that particular hazard to explain something. And so really it might be the only thing that's available to an emergency manager. And so we like to have it available on the page, realizing that maybe it's a little bit more in-depth or difficult for an emergency manager to understand. But that's kind of how it actually ties back into our other project about improving decision support for emergency management, is doing that type of work where maybe we can improve some of these products to more effectively communicate weather information. Okay, well, my likes are that I really enjoy working with the emergency management community, as well as the meteorologists at the National Weather Service offices. Both groups are very passionate about their job. Their goal is to really protect lives and property, and so they take that job very seriously. And it's really nice to work with them. Have conversations with them about their various ideas for what they'd like to see improved, or what they're thinking about, what their problems are. So I really enjoy working with those folks. And now that we're working with emergency managers in other states as well, that's enjoyable to kind of see what their perspectives are, and see how that compares to North Carolina emergency managers. Dislikes, I would say my biggest one is the politics and bureaucracy of, that's not a very creative answer, I guess, but just kind of dealing with things that are going on in terms of maybe, for example, you report some results that somebody's not too fond of, kind of dealing with those types of politics, even though that you're bringing forth the information from your emergency managers, that sometimes people don't like to hear that. And so just kind of dealing with that is probably my least favorite part. So specifically for my position, which is kind of a mix between being a meteorologist and an emergency manager, so kind of being the liaison between those two groups, I would say that if you're interested in helping with emergency management, is to get an internship in emergency management. So this could be either volunteering with your local county emergency management director, joining your state organization. Every state has an emergency management association, so kind of getting plugged in that way, so you can really better understand from a point of view of a person who uses weather information what they're looking for, what they're interested in, what their concerns are, and what their job is, so that you can really better communicate that information to them. So trying to get involved in the emergency management community is key. I actually did not do that before I came here, which is fine, because I wasn't sure what I would be doing when I started this job in terms of emergency management. But I went back and got a certificate in emergency management after about 3 years of working in the field, and found that it was very useful to really understand the theory and the basics behind emergency management, to see what they deal with every day. And it's been very valuable in trying to figure out what to do with weather information and why they have the concerns that they do. I think the biggest change in this career path is the fact that meteorologists are a lot more willing now to listen to feedback from social scientists on how to more effectively communicate information. So up until recently, a lot of meteorologists speak to a layperson as though they're talking to another meteorologist. So they use a lot of jargon. It can be very difficult to understand. And so from the point of view of somebody that's trying to use weather information, it can be very frustrating and confusing to have information conveyed to you in a way that's kind of over your head, because you were never actually trained in meteorology. And so I think that there's more willingness now for meteorologists to try to more effectively communicate this information in a way that a non-meteorologist, such as just the public, emergency management, anybody like that can better understand. So I think that's a major kind of shift in the meteorology world, is taking that into consideration now. Kind of in general for meteorology students, I would recommend taking as many computer programming, web design, or GIS courses that you can. And the reason for this is all of this comes in handy whenever you're a meteorologist and you're not exactly sure how you're going to be needing to convey your information, whether it's a website or putting it on a map or something like that. Having that information going into your first job is very useful. And so I would highly recommend taking more than just your basic programming class before you graduate. And also just getting as much experience in the field of meteorology, or whatever kind of branch that you're interested in via internships in the summer is also very helpful, in getting jobs. So.